Today, as we shift to pre-production, I'm going to walk you through an example of how to use Final Draft Tagger to tag a scene.
FateLink is making a living case study out of building an independent feature film. Day by day, see the hopes, dreams, fears, and step-by-step process it takes to make a movie.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go into Final Draft Tagger now. What I've done is I've loaded up this old project of mine called Dumbass Filmmakers. That's why it says Dumbass Season 1 here at the top. You'll notice a few things about the setup. We're in scene 4 right now, the exterior park day. It's a 3/8 of a page length scene, so don't be confused. This page number is telling us that the scene occurs on page 1, but it's actually only 3/8 of a page long, which you can see that matches the scene that we have loaded up. The next thing that we're going to do, now that we see that we've loaded it up and this is the scene that we want to tag, is we are going to read the scene. We're going to read the whole scene before we tag. And when you read through the scene, you're not reading through it at this moment with creativity in mind. You're reading through it to notice exactly what is needed in this scene. Exterior park day. A huge white space has taken over the frame. All of a sudden, a male figure in a Speedo and goggles, covered in body paint, slams into the blank white canvas, completely covering it in blue and gold paint. We pull back to see that the guerrilla artist is none other than Harrison, doing impromptu art in a park. A guy with a newspaper walks by, gives Harrison a look. Harrison's proud of his latest creation, moves his goggles to his forehead. Dialogue. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm glad I read that, because at first I might have put this male figure as an extra, but it turns out the male figure really is Harrison. So there's not two people involved, that's the same character, and it's more descriptive, his name, Harrison. So I'm going to add this element of Harrison as a cast member. Now it turns out that he's already loaded up in my history there, but we've got Harrison as a cast member. Now, it looks like Harrison is the only cast member in this particular scene. But this is where it's important to read the scene in context, because let's say there are some scenes where there's another character involved, but in the writer's brain, it makes sense not to mention them in the scene. Like, let's say before this, Harrison walked to the park with Vicky, and then it cuts to somewhere else after this, and Vicky says, "Oh, Harrison, you did a great job with the, throwing yourself against the canvas." And it just so happens that this little moment is about somebody else. Well, it might be that you want to add Vicky to this list too, because you know that she's in this scene, even though the script doesn't mention her. Now, in this case, that's not true, so we're going to delete it. But I bring that up to point out to you that you have to be careful, because sometimes more characters than are written in the action line are going to be needed on set that day when you shoot this. So the only way you're going to know that is if you read the script in context. Now, there is another guy in this scene, but he doesn't have any lines. A guy with a newspaper walks by. So to me, that looks like an extra. So I'm going to mark that. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to mark that as an extra, and I'm going to add the element. There we go. A guy with a newspaper. So now you'll see that it's given me one color for a cast member and a different color for our extra. So now let's just go down the list. Are there any stunts? Now, in real life, I played Harrison, and I didn't care about throwing myself at a canvas, covered in body paint. But if I were breaking this script down as a line producer, when I see the word slams into a blank white canvas, I don't know if I'm the line producer and I'm not the director of this movie. I don't know exactly what the director has in mind for that. I don't know how hard this guy is slamming on a canvas. So I'm going to mark that as a stunt. I would, because I don't know what the director has in mind. Now later I find out the director's playing that role himself and he's just kind of throwing himself on a canvas and it's not a very big deal, then we can take it away. But the last thing you want to do is miss a stunt, and especially if some actor who's playing Harrison is like, what, you want me to slam into a blank white canvas? No, I need a stunt coordinator for that. I mean, that could happen. So the thing is that it's better to be safe than sorry, and so I would go ahead and mark it as a stunt, anything that could be interpreted as a stunt, because you do not want anyone getting hurt, and you do not want to miss anything. Okay, there are no vehicles in this scene. Okay, so now let's go to props. First of all, the name of our extra is a guy with a newspaper. So we see that we need a newspaper. So because that has already been marked as part of the name of the guy of the extra, in other words, his name is a guy with a newspaper. That's his character's name. But his character name happens to include the prop that we need. So separately in this case, I'm just going to add a prop of a newspaper, right? Now, let's see what else we need. Speedo and goggles. Oh, you might say, oh, goggles, that's a prop. Nope. The goggles, he's wearing them on his face. So I would call that a costume, right? So he's wearing goggles and he's wearing a Speedo. So those are costume elements. Covered in body paint. Okay, body paint is makeup. That's makeup. So we're going to go to makeup and we're going to add the element of makeup. There we go. Blank white canvas. Okay, so the canvas in this case, I suppose I could call it a prop. I could call it a set dressing. I'm going to call it a prop. I'm going to say a large blank white canvas. And then I'm also going to add the canvas sprayed with Harrison's body paint. Because we actually need two canvases, right? We need one before Harrison jumps on it, and we need another one after the body paint has smeared the canvas. And also, this is good to know that, if you buy just one canvas, you get one take. Because once you do one take, you're going to have body paint all over the canvas. So you're not going to be able to do it again. It's worth noting that, eventually you're going to need more than one canvas. So I'm not going to mark that now because I don't know if I'm just breaking this down as the line producer or it's the first pass at this. I don't know right now how many times we're going to do this. Minimum, we need one blank canvas, and then we'll need the one that's sprayed with body paint. And I put the second one because in my mind, well, they might cheat it a little bit. In other words, he's running and slamming his body on this canvas with the wet paint. But once he does that and we pop back to the guy with the newspaper walking by, they may cheat it so that they may make the painting look more elaborate than what actually happened when the actor lands on the canvas with the body paint. So I'm putting that there, and that's one that maybe they'll have to figure that out and decide it later. But see, now we're thinking about these scenes in a very practical way, because before we were just thinking as a writer, oh, it's fun to see this guy with body paint slam up against a canvas. But now we're thinking about, well, what if it doesn't look so cool when the body paint hits the canvas? What if we need more paint than that? We're thinking about the scene in a very logistical, pragmatic way now, and that's important because it's going to cost you something to buy a big canvas. This blue and gold paint, I'm going to put that as a makeup element as well, because that's body paint. You see, this looks like a pretty easy scene, but even so, we have quite a few elements. We're going to need Harrison. We're going to need our extra, who's a guy with a newspaper. We're going to need to check out whether when Harrison slams into a blank white canvas, is that considered a stunt, or is that just something that the actor is comfortable doing, no problem? Something for us to think about. We're going to need the prop of the newspaper. We're going to need goggles and Speedo. And also, here's another costume that we're going to need, right? Because we're just going to call it guy with newspaper costume. So that's another element that we're going to need. We're going to need this body paint. And I've put separately that we're going to need blue and gold paint. And really, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to come in and edit this element and say blue and gold body paint, right? Just to be more clear. And as I've gone through this, it looks like the blue and gold body paint, it doesn't look like there's really two kinds of body paint. So I'm actually going to now delete the other body paint because this one's more specific. Blue and gold body paint. That's the makeup item that we need. We have a body slam sound. So let's see what else. We have no vehicles, no special effects, no livestock or animals. Oh God, can you imagine adding those to this type of scene? The music, nothing to indicate music right here. Set dressing, we're outside in a park. Greenery, again, we're outside in a park, so I think that's going to be more about location. Special equipment. I don't see any special equipment that we need at this time. Security, additional labor, optical FX, mechanic FX, miscellaneous notes. No, I think that this is a pretty good list of the elements. When you're done with all of this, we've got our tagged elements. All we're going to do is we're going to click File, we're going to export to schedule, and we're going to export it. And then later on, in a later video about scheduling, I will show you how to import this document into your scheduling software. And from there, you can schedule the movie and budget the movie as well. The same will apply to budgeting the film. So that's a little bit about tagging, why we tag, how we tag, and how important it is, and how easy it is to miss something, but that's something you really don't want to do because it will save you time and money, I promise, if you get this script tagging correct from the get-go. Okay, good luck.